What was your biggest/most regrettable? It's not a phase, Mom. It's my life. That, in fact, turned out to be just a phase and not your life? I was very into the Transformers when I was a wee lad in the 1980s. One day, I decided to change my name to the name of my favorite Autobot. My name was lame, and I wanted an awesome Transformer name. And I was very insistent that my parents only call me by my new name. Calling me by my old name would cause a big fat tantrum on my part. So for the better part of a week, my poor parents had to call me Wheeljack. Immensely disappointed that your username isn't Wheeljack, I think your past self would be too. Even back then, I knew Optimus Prime was a way more badass name than Wheeljack. But I also felt that I was nowhere near cool enough to wield a mighty name like Optimus Prime, so Wheeljack it was. I went to a car show once as a teen, and the only newer car there was some chick's PT Cruiser. It was hot glittery pink, and at the time I was obsessed. I insisted that one day I would have a hot pink car, with pink seats, pink dash, pink carpets, etc. I was pretty heavily goth at the time, so my parents just rolled their eyes. Wanted to be a wrestler, would put on shows on my trampoline and had a magazine too, never made it to Mania. Really wanted a horse. Ridiculously allergic to horses. Also, could not afford a horse. No one can afford a horse. It's okay. Trenchcoat phase after I saw The Matrix. Turns out a goofy effing 13-year-old doesn't look or feel as badass in one as Neo does. Edit, I was a sheltered kid in a sheltered town. I'd heard of Columbine but had not seen the video and had made no connection between the code and the event. You got to wear the sunglasses too. I would bet my next paycheck that original poster had the glasses too. Just the standard, I don't need to go to school, Mom. I'm in a band. Ah, that's a classic. I used to button the top buttons of polo shirts. I must say, this is probably the worst one I've read. Cheaper than a chastity belt. I had a posh phase once. Spoke in a terrible British accent, put my pinky out while drinking tea, said pardon a lot. My brother told me to stop, so I did. Every once in a while I break into my exaggerated English accent when talking to my cat, but I don't know if that counts. Being a tattooer. Regrettable because of those poor people who have my awful doodles on their bodies. For your regrettable phase never ended. I dated a basement scratch artist who gave out some pretty terrible tattoos. He died at 23, and one of the morbid jokes we shared to deal with the whole thing was that at least these terrible tattoos were in memoriam now, laughing out loud. Take heart. My favorite tattoo is the one I drunkenly got my buddy to do in his living room one year during March Madness. It's dumb and frankly mediocre, but such a good story and has such good associations I smile every time I see it. I'm not a tattoo artist, but I have friends who are. They let me use their gear to tattoo my brother over a lost bet. It was the crappiest tattoo he had by far, but he would always say it was his favorite. He passed away this year and I miss that crafty tattoo. I was obsessed with the craft in junior high and was convinced that I was a witch. I basically just drew pentagrams all over my school work and wore a lot of rings on my fingers. That's it. If it makes you feel any better. I had a classmate in high school who was very dark. She was really a sweet kid to start, and then she just deep-ended. She decided to carve a pentagram onto the top of her hand with an X-Acto knife. I happened to walk into the classroom while she was doing it. And asked, why are you cutting the Star of David into your hand? So yeah, there is a lovely, middle-aged woman walking around with a very faint scar of the Star of David on her hand. Scar of David. Sounds like a badass Jewish metal band. My friend and I decided we were going to open a bar in Jamaica with exotic snakes in glass cages in the walls at each booth. We convinced ourselves it would be amazing for at least 2 years in college. It was going to be called Fredro's. My entire family made fun of me for it. Once we got out of college, we realized it was not feasible and joined the office grind. We're also two white guys with no ties to Jamaica. R.I.P. Fred Rose. The best bar in Jamaica ran by two white guys that never was. Baggy pants, being a rapper someday and being a professional skater. When I was about 14 and Eminem was starting to blow up, I bought myself a keyboard with a synthesizer. It cost like $200, which was all the money I had saved up. It finally came, this was way before Amazon Prime and such, and I tried rapping. My sister told me you're effing horrible and I gave up right then and there, crying face. Give it another shot. Maybe you aren't so bad. You only get one shot. I had a Jedi braid when I was younger, flushed face. I wore a top hat with an anime pin on it for around a year. Met one of my current best friends while wearing it. I don't know how he could bear to speak to me after that. Genuinely laughed out loud at this one, thanks for sharing. Then you'll love this. I wore top hat and real old-timey clothes and blue-tinted sunglasses, think Ozzy Osbourne glasses, to school. Yeah. I still wear long coats, but dropped the anno 1880s outfit and the sunglasses. Edit. Some people in Sweden bought the school photos and there I am looking like a prat. I didn't buy it, so I can't share it. My biggest regret is this latter part. The most difficult upvote I've ever given. Acting like a thug, being 12 years old from a white middle-class family but acting like a career criminal, born in the streets, who had done a nickel of hard time in the clink. At the mall on a Friday night giving you the crazy eye with my backward hat and baggy pants. If someone did actually try me, we would usually just bump chests and say do something, then go ahead, then no you do something, homie, walking in circles with my hands by my side because I'm more concerned about looking gangster than I am about defending myself. 9/10 times nothing would happen, but I would definitely chalk it up as a win for my crew anyway. Side note though, one of my best homies headbutted a guy with terrible headbutt technique and it knocked them both unconscious, but because my friend woke up and got up first he declared himself the victor. It was surprisingly hard to argue with that logic. Also, I had my nickname embroidered on my fitted hat from Lid's Lil E, but because of the calligraphy style font and bad spacing it appeared to read Lyle or Lily as most would pronounce it, and that sucked butt. Spent like a whole month's allowance on that stupid hat, never to be worn again, but also never forgotten by my friends. Sincerely yours, Lily. Dancing to One Direction and thinking I'd be in the background of their music video laughing my butt off. I actually said that this is going to be my career. There was a time in my younger days when I was obsessed with death. I wanted to be a hitman. I had convinced myself that I was going to be an assassin. That lasted a few months. Just a hobby now? Never turn what you love into a job. You lose the passion for it then. Well, that is good. He found his real calling, the person that orders the hits. I wanted to be a big-time hero and save the world from every bad thing. I just play D&D now. There was a time when I believed that I wanted to enter seminary and study for the priesthood. Mom said, "It's a passing fancy. You lead an intensely secular life and are only flirting with the idea because you enjoy time spent at church playing your organ as a layperson." She was right, but I wouldn't admit it at the moment. By my junior year in high school, the notion had passed. Did you at least continue playing the organ and shred Zone 6 solos though? Thanks for your comment, Anik Shancock. Yes, I continued studying organ all through college and graduate school, making it my profession. Oh God, acting. After years of theater starting in elementary through college, I thought that was it. Loved being on stage. My Korean mom would try and bribe me with fast food and other contraband instead of heading out to classes and auditions. Now I work in IT but still take classes here and there. So, compromise. When I was 16, I kept my hair dyed blue, and kept myself fairly busy earning money to keep buying the hair dye so it would stay that way. One summer, one of our cats, A gray and white one, had to have a leg amputated after being bitten by a snake, and I noticed that the skin beneath the fur was the same color, in the same pattern, as her fur had been. And it was just enough to pass idiot teenage muster. So, I shaved my head with the intention of getting my entire scalp tattooed blue, thinking that when my hair grew back in, it would be forever blue. I even found a tattoo guy willing to do the job, but only if an experimental inch 2 worked. I'm still blonde, but I do have a tattoo on my scalp that's just a blue square. My mother was too dumbfounded to say anything. And my stepdad just walked out onto the back porch to stare into the yard for a while. It was never brought up again once it was clear the experiment didn't work. I never dyed my hair again after that either. Edit, fantastic. My highest rated and most rewarded post is one about I was stupid enough to shave my head and get a tattoo because I tried to be a pre-2000 Ramona Flowers forever. And my stepdad just walked out onto the back porch to stare into the yard for a while. This got me. You paint a great picture of a disappointed dad. Sad part is we still have phases as we age. Hit 40 and I had my first I'm going to get cancer and die phase. Little later it was I'm going to have a heart attack and die phase. I've had friends all seem to go through something similar, that realization of our own mortality. Plus people my age get wanderlust and chase tail or buy a new sports car, did neither thankfully. I'm 46 and went through a Viking phase. I was obsessed with Vikings. Read books, watched shows and docs. Learned all I could about them. Did the Ancestry.com and found I have very little Scandinavian blood. So, that happened. But now it's pirates. Wanting colored contacts. My vision was fine, but I wanted purple eyes. I still think it would be cool, but I'm not going out of my way for that. My anime phase. I don't really watch a lot of anime now, but I wouldn't mind watching it from time to time. Especially when I was 13-14 and went through a whole phase of watching this one show and becoming dark because this character was only into dark things and wore the color black all the time. I also remember thinking how super hot he was. Now I don't ever want to remember this time at all. Oh my god, I thought I was a redneck, female, 18. Only wore camo, adopted a southern accent, tried trading in my brand new Infiniti for a dirt bike. Not a good chapter of my life. I feel like I never experienced life as a teen. I never got to tell my mom she didn't understand me and storm off to my room. Scene fashion. I backcombed my hair to hell and back, and got quite a few facial piercings. I still have scars for laughing out loud. The worst part was the actual clothes. I still cringe thinking about when I wore these neon blue leopard print leggings with a pink tutu skirt. And all the tacky, cheap beaded jewelry. My mom told me not to leave the house like that and I told her she didn't get it. All the cringe. I can picture you so clearly, you would have been the younger me's crush. I would wear chains all over. Ah, the cringe days. I recently created a playlist with a friend where we keep adding our angsty teenager music, and you know what? It brings me a huge smile whenever I listen to it. I have a real whopper. I loved anime as a teenager. This was in the 90s, so it wasn't that mainstream yet. Because I had no interest in anything else, I took a year of Japanese. Then because I still had no other ambition or interest, I signed up in the military to go to Japan. For 8 years. Got out, went to college, and because I still didn't know what I wanted to do, I studied Japanese. By this time, the interest in anime had worn off, but learning culture and history was cool. So, I went to college to learn Japanese. As a major. 6 goddamned years, a ton of core classes and not a single interest in any other thing. I was done with the Japanese language at that point, but because near the end, my class literally couldn't be run without me, I stayed. I stayed because I felt like it would be a waste if I changed it. Like everything I had done up to that point was a lie. Here I am with a degree in Japanese language/history and culture, and I'm not at all interested in it anymore. I'm looking for a real job, have been since I got out of college, but for now I work for a temp company for a Japanese air conditioning company. What do you mean by your class couldn't be run without you? A class needed a minimum of 3 people to be considered a class. If I didn't go, if I dropped the class, one other person wouldn't be able to graduate and the other was a freshman, but he needed the higher level because he was a self-study. Edit. Crap, I'm so sorry, Sensei. Sensei too. My poor adjunct professor would have no money too. Edit 2. Please stop with the fake internet points, my inbox is quite full enough, thanks. The fact you self-shamed into staying for the good of the group might be the most Japanese thing about this story. That is a commendable action. You completed something for the you lost passion in for the sake of other people. I wish I had a gold to give. Anime, emo stuff, MCR and the like. I still am mildly into them but nowhere near the levels I used to be. As much as I hate my emo phase, I don't think I would be who I am now without it. Same goes for anime. For the record, I still love MCR. They're a great band. I just don't use them as a substitute for a personality anymore. Being a hippie. Still love nature, meditation and the Grateful Dead, but it's nice to have a clear head and a meaningful career. My gymnastics. Then I slipped up and paralyzed myself. Had to learn to walk again, which took 3 years. Interestingly, where my parents discouraged me from wasting time on gymnastics before the accident, after the accident and my recovery they encouraged me to take it up again. But I can't. The accident and the horror surrounding it still gives me nightmares some nights. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.